Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up in our news tonight. Stricter COVID-19 restrictions recommended. We'll tell you by whom. The Delta variant dominant here in the Bahamas. What this could mean for the healthcare system. A local union believes that the government is making the right steps. And later, a local comedian tells us about bouncing back after his battle with COVID-19. Welcome to our News Weekend Edition, and thanks for joining us. I'm Georgie O'Bain. Topping news tonight. Despite a recent decrease in confirmed COVID cases, former Minister of Health Dr. Dwayne Sands says drastic restrictions need to be considered as hospitals remain overwhelmed and COVID deaths are continuing at an unprecedented rate.
We just have to be mindful that we continue to be troubled by excessive levels of COVID in the Bahamas, and particularly a massive level of deaths from COVID, as the healthcare system is badly overwhelmed.
Dr. Sands says anyone who believes that the Bahamas is winning the war against COVID is dead wrong. He adds that as crazy as it may sound, he believes that the Davis administration should think seriously about drastically increasing restrictions in a bid to make the Bahamas as COVID-free as possible.
So we're watching people die left, right, and center. So it becomes extremely important for us to get it in our heads that it's not going to be business as usual anytime soon.
The Bahamas has been struggling with an unprecedented surge in COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths in its third wave. However, within a day of being elected, Prime Minister Philip Davis relaxed curfews on multiple islands, including New Providence, moving all of them to midnight. Since then, COVID cases have not increased, though positivity rates still remain high. Well, the Delta variant is now the most dominant strain of COVID-19 in the Bahamas, according to the Pan American Health Organization COVID-19 Incident Manager Dr. Sylvian Aldeguerri, who says that labs in South America have linked the variant to the cause of recent infections in the Bahamas.
The most recent samples sequenced at the Gorgas Institute in Panama and at the Fiocruz Foundation in Brazil, through the Power Genomic Surveillance Network, this sequencing have demonstrated 50% of Delta, 45% of Alpha, and only 1.3% of Gamma.
According to Aldeguerri, people may be testing or rates of vaccination are on the rise. Either way, experts believe that people are becoming more relaxed.
Although Delta is becoming predominant in most of the countries of the Caribbean. And in this context, it is important to remember that this process of displacement and replacement of strains or variants is an expected phenomenon which has been happening since very early in the pandemic and occurs, among other factors, because of a circulation of viruses that, like the Delta variant, are better adapted to the human host as part of their evolution process.
Well, Trade Union Congress President Obie Ferguson says the Davis administration is on the right track to fulfilling the mandates they agreed to in the workers' agenda.
If you paid strict attention to what the Prime Minister said in his first address, he put attention to the doctors, the nurses, and he made a public pronouncement as to his intent to work with the doctors and work with the nurses.
In August, the Progressive Liberal Party signed an agreement with guaranteeing parties' commitment to working on behalf of workers if successful at the polls. It was later revealed that not all labor unions were in on the agreement. Ferguson says so far they were able to meet with the government officials and a step in the right direction.
We have had meetings so far with the Minister of Labor, which in my view was a very productive meeting. We will work the items through. We're putting them in some kind of priority. Negotiation of industrial agreements is a very important issue for the movement. things of that nature we're going to work at.
Technology is driving the fight to stop illegal migrants and apprehend poachers in Bahamian waters, according to Commodore of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Raymond King. The maritime surveillance system at Inagua from the United States government has helped officers tremendously. The RBDF is set to receive more within a month.
The second one should be handed over to the Bahamas government within a month at HMBS Coral Harbour. The intent is the final 3 maritime surveillance systems will be installed in Exuma, Ragged Island, and in Andros. Wherever we have those maritime surveillance systems set up, we'll have an operation command center. At those sites is where we intend to operate our long-range drones. The drones program is being unfolded. The military drone academy is well on its way with training.
Information from the coastal radars and long-range drones will feed into a central system. The decentralization plan includes expansion to Grand Bahama and moving to Cooperstown, Abaco. Just over a week ago, nearly 1,000 migrants were apprehended in Bahamian waters. King says they're being strategic.
By virtue of those migrants now moving along the coast, they're deliberately seeking to avoid detection from the coastal radar. But with us intending to strategically place those coastal radars, certain islands, we're seeking to create overlapping coverages. The more radars you are populated, the concentric rings overlap, and eventually you can achieve almost continuous coverage, and it helps with the maritime.
Over 700 migrants were repatriated over the past week. The RBDF currently has 1,600 officers, and they're looking to build that number to 3,000 to properly manage the demand. Also to come on our news, a local comedian shared his story and his battle with COVID-19. A former prime minister throwing his support behind a first-time MP. And later we take a look at the most memorable quotes of the week. That's coming up when our News Weekend returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
A month after being released from hospital, Bahamian comedic sensation Sawyer Boy is sharing his story of surviving COVID-19. He tells our Kyle Joaquin that there were times where he thought he wouldn't make it.
Because I said, man, I gotta go to the hospital. And at one point, it was like, yeah, I need to go. That's when I know it was bad.
The month of August resulted in a fight for his life. Tamiko Sawyer, also known as Sawyer Boy, says he never expected. A slight kidney issue and battle with COVID pneumonia left him in the hospital for weeks. After losing 35 pounds during the ordeal, he has a sense of humor when telling the story. But he says it was rough watching people around him die.
The person on the side of me, boss, right before I leave, me and him was talking, and I could have seen some things like, you know, some people they're fighting, and some people they're like, it was like whatever. Like I saw someone was like I look at his face and I could see he like, whatever happened.
In that situation, the man known to make people laugh said while in hospital there were very few highs and the lows came hard.
I started to lose a little bit, but I started like, what they call it, hallucinating and thing. I done hallucinate like twice inside though. Then it come to one point like where I was like, yeah, like it get low, but like I end up rounding out the nurse and all, but.
But it was his mother, siblings, and 3 kids, especially his 5-year-old daughter, he says really kept him going.
Like I said, it was them, boy. Like I remember at some points where I was video calling my daughter and thing when she to school. The school wasn't open up yet, but I was trying to reach her one time. And I couldn't reach her, but not do something to me. Because I just wanted to see her face, though. You know what I mean? I just wanted to see her face. And yeah, so my kids was... And my family is the reason, like, what really pushed me to come out of that way.
Aside from his family, Sawyer made it off the support of 3 unlikely strangers, a pastor, a barber, and a Hurricane Dorian survivor, all battling COVID in the same tent.
Like they was coaching me, but you know, nurses and things was there. Like when the nurses then wasn't, or the nurses just doing their own thing, they coaching me, but hey, take your time, but take your time. A boy in front of me, every time you see my eyes look like they drop, or I look like I stand off in something, I get him. Hey, Sawyer, keep your head up, man. What you thinking? Don't get in here.
There are lessons Sawyer Boy says he's learned. He now supports getting vaccinated, and he's gone deeper in his faith. He's also using his journey to teach others.
You have to try to use this as much as possible, but I know sometimes it hurts, especially if you just do it and you get chest pains, or if you get little pains from anywhere else.
But it take me like an hour, sometimes 2 hours, just to answer messages, because like talking back to these people and we having these big COVID conversations and just trying to show them some stuff. So whatever I learn, I give them back. But
as for his new outlook on life,
I come out with a sense of like, but it's more things going on than the things we worrying about, and the things we need to focus on is what we need to focus on. Like I say, reading my Bible and things more, just having better thoughts, man. That's more positive and not trying to stress myself out over things what ain't really matter.
For Our News Weekend, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Former Prime Minister Perry Christie calling Centerville Member of Parliament Jomo Campbell the future of that constituency. Christie held the seat for 40 years before he lost to the political newcomer Reece Chipman in 2017. With Campbell by his side speaking to reporters, Christie says he thinks that the young MP and attorney should be able to follow his footsteps and hold that seat for decades to come.
I told him I've been in public life and representing Centerville for a long time, and he could and should, and I think would be similar in his success in Centerville in terms of longevity.
Campbell has been appointed as Minister of State for Legal Affairs. Christie says with bright young minds, the Davis administration expects that the team will do well.
But I expect this government, with the mix of ministers that we have, to be a very effective government, and to hopefully, this final point I want to make, hopefully recognize that no government has won re-election in 25 years. And a part of the consideration of this government must be to analyze why that has happened.
When Our News Weekend comes back from the break, a look at how the sand dollar currency is doing, plus a mother and daughter duo are taking the international stage. We have the details when Our News Weekend returns.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Usage of the central bank's digital Bahamian currency sand dollar is still relatively low, according to the bank's Governor John Wool, who says that the central bank will be ramping up its public education campaign for residents and Bahamians to understand the benefits of using the currency.
Usage is still low because there's a lot of what I see still happening. There's a lot of product development happening at the financial institutions level. The mobile wallet providers are also very busy in the market, signing up merchant clients. We are at the stage now where, in coordination with all of the participants, our public education and awareness campaign will begin to ramp up.
According to Wool, the central bank is actively working on better integration of the sand dollar currency.
The holder of a sand dollar wallet or a mobile payment account that is interoperable with the sand dollar platform, they'll be able to send and receive money against their bank account through the infrastructure. So that's a very important development for us, and it is timed along with other upgrades that are happening to the automated clearinghouse and the payment system.
Mobile wallet providers will have to enhance their coding to take advantage of the sand dollar currency, according to Wool, a step that he hopes will happen in the coming months.
We've completed the testing for the ability to send funds from the network into the deposit account. We are working over the remainder of this year to complete the ability of the system to receive funds from the banks. And so we're doing the test with one of the commercial banks on ability to send funds out of those deposit accounts to a Sand Dollar wallet or to a mobile payment wallet. And once we've completed those testing, that system will be available within the Sand Dollar infrastructure.
A 10-year-old girl and her mom were one of only 4 Bahamian presenters at a global online forum this weekend. Veteran project manager Andrea Pratt-Smith and her daughter Victoria Smith co-presented at the Access Agile Festival.
My daughter and I will be presenting on Agile in Education, and she'll be presenting her Trello board that we use, and she'll be talking about the practices that we use for Scrum. So we implement Scrum in her education. She's actually a mini Scrum Master because I'm a certified Scrum Master, and so I get practice by teaching her how to be a Scrum Master. And we have our Trello board where we have retrospectives. We operate in sprints, and so it's going to be interesting.
A global festival attracts hundreds of attendees from across the world and tackles a wide range of topics from climate change to virtual learning.
Actually, she is the youngest presenter at this Access Agile Festival, and they are celebrating the fact that they have a 10-year-old presenter, and they're looking forward to her event. The last time I checked, there was 50+ persons that registered for her event so far.
Well, an 18-year-old sprinter is off to Florida after signing a contract with Puma. Our Jared Higgs spoke with him and some local teammates at Swift Athletes and filed this report.
18-year-old Wendell Miller is off to Florida to pursue a professional track and field career. The sprint specialist signed with Puma and is excited about what the future holds.
I signed with Puma like 2 months ago, so when I run the 45.81.
That's Miller's personal best in the 400 meters. His best in the 200 is 20.66, and 10.45 is his best 100-meter time. He ran that 100-meter time at the World Athletics U20 Championships in Kenya back in August.
I prefer the 400.
How come?
Because it's my race. I know top people can't really run sprint race. 100 meters like that. So I feel like I got to strategize it. The 400 more easier than the 1 and over the 2.
Going pro at 18, Miller has a huge opportunity ahead of him. He tells us about his goals and how he will stay on track.
I'm looking forward to around 44 or 45 low. To be successful, I just need to remain humble, stay focused, avoid any injuries, just stay on my grind and shine.
Miller is leaving behind a lot of quality sprinters at Swift Athletics. 15-year-old Carlos Brown is ranked number 4 in the world in the U18 200 meters and is tied for 8th in the 100 meters. Of course, there are many young athletes still developing and looking forward to their big break. One of them is 18-year-old Brandon Brown from Cat Island.
It's really great. It's a nice track club. I teach you a lot. They travel a lot, and they have a lot of fast people there, so you get run fast times and compete well and meet.
Some athletes express disappointment at the lack of opportunities to compete due to the cancellation of consecutive Carifta Games.
It was really sad because we used to be training off-season during the pandemic, and come to find out when the meets came, we couldn't run it or they canceled it, so it was very sad during them times.
10-year-old Rossellis Moxie is a top U11 sprinter. She reminds us that the kids start off their journeys not really knowing where it may take them. Do you want to make the Carifta team one day?
No.
Okay, all right then. So what do you want to do with track and field? You just do it for fun?
No.
What do you want to do?
I want to be like a track star when I grow up.
So you got to make the Carifta team first, right? I don't know. You don't know what that is? You know what Carifta is, eh? You got to ask your teammates, okay? Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jared Higgs.
We take a look at the most memorable quotes and moments in news. That's coming up when Our News Weekend returns.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
You're watching Our News Weekend. Welcome back. It's time to take a look at the most memorable quotes and moments in news this week. The first quote comes from former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who criticized Wednesday's speech from the throne.
The speech from the throne seemed like a copy of our proposals that we were presenting throughout this entire electoral process. In addition to the lunch program, they'll be able to reduce obesity, thus reduce the demand in our hospitals, to reduce hypertension, thus the demands in our hospitals, reduce diabetes, reduce the need for renal replacement surgery. So those programs, I think, are must.
The second quote comes from Prime Minister Philip Davis, who sought to defend his appointment of former Education Minister Jerome Fitzgerald.
For the best and brightest amongst us to help me carry through the big changes I have for this country. He's one person I have some confidence in to be able to help me deliver that. What past scandals? Yes, no, what past scandals? No, identify what the scandal is and I'll respond to it. No, yeah, it was nothing to do with that.
And the third quote comes from former Prime Minister Perry Christie, who sent a warning to Prime Minister Philip Davis not to make the same mistakes as his predecessor.
He is not going to allow me to be sitting out there when I could be of use to him and of help to him in the way Dr. Minnis allowed me and Hubert Ingram to sit out there when we could have been a more effective tool for him to use.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Georgie O'Bain, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Stay tuned for the primetime premiere of The Virtuoso of Small Hope right now.